I had to go get my little notebook because it's the same, it's like my little grimoire that has fairies and shit on it, and I think that's kind of funny. So today is going to talk about some of the occult and satanic bands and music that I like, just because I think that's a great topic. Okay, so I didn't really like listen to this when I was young, but when I was like in college, a lot of people turned me on to music like this, and besides all the hippie stuff, which is really great, psychedelic kind of stuff. You know, I like that shit too. But as far as the occult and satanic stuff goes, it was like when I heard this real, singing about Satan, like I found my release emotionally because of growing up in this really religious, oppressive atmosphere, I'm emotionally attracted to Satan as the figure of freedom, and so it's a release. And I think that's why a lot of people like the occult anyway. Danzig, the album Lucifuge, and probably a node to Lucifuge Rofoco from the Grand Grimoire. That's such a good album. That's really rockin'. I think he does sound like evil Elvis. Ghost, of course. I fucking love Ghost. And Tobias, Forge, the lead singer, he talks about how he got into Satanism because of religious family life and schooling as well, and I thought that was really neat. I heard him say that on some interview. I think he might be an atheistic Satanist and stuff, and that's great. So Meliora and Prequel, the first two albums are just my favorite. I think that it's that raw kind of energy that bands can get going when they really first start out, and sometimes that's like their greatest stuff because it's before the fame. Merciful Fate. Okay, so this album, I think it's from 1984, Don't Break the Oath, and it's like where they sing about the witch's Sabbath, and it's just fucking awesome. I mean, I like King Diamond too, and like I'll listen to that when I really gotta do some cleaning and I want to just zone out. Morbid Angel, I think, so with Covenant, that album, like mid-90s, they've got God of Emptiness on that, and that is like the best. I love that music video, you guys check it out. Blessed Are the Sick, that's a really good one. Good music video, this got sigil magic in it. And David Vincent looks pretty fucking rockin'. Like, I mean, especially in God of Emptiness, where he sort of portrays like letting the demon possess him. I like that. If you want a good laugh though, David Vincent does some other song, like he's just singing because he's cowboy from the South, and he's like drinking with the devil. He starts singing that, and it's totally different than Morbid Angel. It's just country. It's really good though. I don't know why, it's just funny. Dissection. That's the guy who committed suicide. He had spent some time in jail. But they went to that big music festival in Germany where a lot of these sort of satanic bands were. And he sings they sing that one song, The Somber Lane, about suicide and this desire for the afterlife, but I mean, he took it a little too seriously, obviously. But Dissection is really great. They've got like 3 albums, mostly from the 90s, and it's really good. Now I'm going to kind of get into some other stuff that's, I guess the other one that's satanic is Behemoth, and I like the album Pandemonic Incantations. It's got something I want to listen to. I like all their albums. I also like the Misfits. very gothy. They're horror. I don't think that they're Satanists, but you know, something that we could all kind of get behind because they dress up like weirdos, and that's very attractive. Death and Cancer. Now, they're like a British band, and they do Death Shall Rise, which I fucking love the name. Death Shall Rise. That's the album, and there's a guy in the band, and he's James Murphy, the guitar player, and he's in both these bands. He really makes, I mean, his solos and his riffs make that the band. Death had Chuck Schindler in it, and he's kind of almost like a really early figure in this scene, and he ended up passing away of cancer, but he was talking about just that consciousness is dark and complex, and that's what he wanted his music to represent. And with Cancer, they sing this one song, Back from the Dead, and they've got that music video where they're in the barn, and they're singing about like bringing a corpse back to life. And that's what necromancy was, guys, back in even a couple hundred years ago. There wasn't this fear of death. People wanted to be close to it, and they thought they could raise the dead, literally. And that was the art of necromancy. So that's kind of a sort of reference to that, and I like that. I like Godsmack, Sully Erna being Wiccan or pagan and everything, and I really like their acoustic live performances. But my favorite song is Spiral, about reincarnation. And I probably will never get tired of listening to Godsmack. HEM, okay guys, that's the Finnish band, and one of my favorite albums is Razorblade Romance. I think that's the song Join Me in Death is on there, and they look like emo goths, and I mean they really nail that. I think they're late 90s, early 2000s. Good stuff. Maybe not particularly satanic, just more of a gothic. Led Zeppelin would be where I'll probably end it. Is, Jimmy Page was obviously an occultist, especially with their fourth album, Led Zeppelin 4, talking about, he puts his own sigils on there, and he even has done interviews talking about how he's really was interested in Aleister Crowley and researching the occult when he was younger. I think they could sometimes downplay this because they know that it scares the public a little bit, and I can understand that part of it. But so people would turn me on to this music, and I was like, I really like this stuff. This is because I might think of Satan in an intellectual way, Satanism, but it's a release to sing about, hear music about Satanism and the occult, because it makes me feel like a power and a release, really. It's like different. There's all kinds of releases, right? And it's different than sex or drugs. They all are these releases and projections. So even when you listen to music, you're not the one singing, but you're projecting, your release of maybe you, because that's what's underneath all of us. Maybe you felt like you didn't fit in when you were growing up, and maybe, in my case, maybe the Mormons didn't like you. And then you can just feel like, hey, I'm okay, I'm in my own power, man, and I'm fine the way I am, and I don't like their God or whatever. I probably have all those feelings as well. So that's how I feel when I can really listen to music like this and just sort of tune everything else out for a second. And music's a really good high, and you don't have to be on drugs. to just experience the neurotransmitter benefit from listening to some good occult satanic music. Peace out, guys.